Welcome back to another episode of Togl. In last week's episode, you saw me put all the posts in for the dog run, and we got to the point where we were just starting to run the wire out. So this week you'll get to see me finish off all the wire, and then we'll get the dogs up here and see how they like it. I'm sure they're going to love it being up here. Having them up here means that I'll be able to take them out for walks as well. They're not just going to be left in the pen, but at least they can be in the pen while I'm doing some work, and then in the afternoons I can take them for a walk around the bushland here before heading back home. So that should be really good for them. Someone asked me during the week, why do my pockets always look like they're so bulky? So I've always got my phone in one pocket, even though most of the block has no reception. It's always there. And in the other, for those who missed it on the earlier episodes, my EPIRB, my personal EPIRB, emergency locator device. So that's always in my top right pocket. Just becomes a part of what I wear now, because you can't be too careful up here when there's no reception and I'm up here by myself. Anyway, I've got some wire to put in, so let's get cracking with it. So this is the tree I said I was going to use. Very small compared to the other posts, but the fact that it's actually growing in the ground makes it super sturdy and super strong, so it's going to be fine. It wasn't safe to bring the tractor down here into this gully. Very good chance I would have rolled it, but I did have this big log down here that I could use as a tie-off point. The only thing is I had nowhere to hook those hooks of the green strap in, so adapt and improvise. I've put a ratchet strap around the log, hooked the green strapped hooks into it, so that now I can put the tension onto this wire and pull it down and then nail it onto the tree. So I just noticed when I was putting the fence up, these big brown mushroom looking things. They're mushrooms, fungi, whatever you want to call them. But there's heaps of them around. They're quite large too. Quite large and fleshy. So, I mean, they're probably not an edible mushroom. Very few are, but they're right around. And where I've actually first noticed them was in underneath this tree here. There's a whole row of them. So they're pretty cool. They stretch right down the back, down past those logs. Yeah, I just found that quite interesting. I thought I'd share it with you. Back to work, Jace. No time to be looking at silly mushrooms. Things to be done. Well, that's the first layer done, the lower half. And that would be about 97, 98 meters of wire put in. And up and over here, back down to the corner gate. So yeah, basically I planned it out for about 100 meters, ended up just a little bit shorter. There's always a little bit extra on the roll, so I'm guessing about 96 meters I've just put in. But I'm also out of those shitty little nails. So as much as I hate them, I do need some more. So I think what I'm going to do is race down to the local shop, see if I can get some of those nails. I might grab myself some lunch as well, because it is 1:45. And then I'll get back up here and put the second layer on, which will go up along the top half. Okay, round two. I've got some more of those staples. I've got bigger ones this time, so hopefully that'll make them a bit easier to hold and get in as well. So we'll see how that goes. So I've got to drag that roll of wire down to this corner, and we'll start from the exact same place and off we go. When I get onto the long section, there is something I've been thinking about there, which I'm going to need to fix up. I'll explain that to you once we're there. Alright, thinking about it just a little bit more. Before I run that wire through, I do need to fix up something down here. So I'm standing here along the long edge. Now this long edge curves like this. It's lower at both ends. Now with the first run that's fine, because it just follows the contour of the ground, so it gets a natural bow to it. But if I string up the second one straight across, it's just going to pull dead straight. So the way I need to do that is, I'll need to come along, and on each star picket I need to tie off the wire so that it can't move up or down. Then when I bring the second roll of wire through, I've actually got a handy little tool which I'll show you when I do it. It puts a ring, and it'll put a ring around the top run and the bottom run of the two lots of wire. So that's going to hold it. Now I'm hoping that then when I do put the tension on, it follows the same bow, because it really can't go up or down in any particular way. That's the theory. Fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes. But before I start getting that wire through, I've got to tie off on all these star pickets. So that's probably going to take me a good half hour to an hour, so I might as well get started on that now. I'll show you one just so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I've got all these little ties. Make sure you can see me. I've got all these little ends from where I'd wrapped off on the post and cut the ends off, so I'm going to use those. So the plan is there's holes all the way down through here. So what I need to do is I just work out where I want this, put through the hole, bend forwards, get the wire up against it, pull that in nice and tight, and then I fold that one around. Whoop. The wire is very springy, makes it very difficult. And then pull this one in, wrap this one around as well. So not only does it hold the wire up against the star picket, but it stops it moving up and down as well. And then we just do that like that, and this is what it should look like. Now generally we do this top, middle and bottom. So there, about halfway down, and then down against ground level to stop the wire lifting up and away. So I'll get stuck onto doing that now. Well, once I got started putting those tie wires on, I decided just to finish off the whole lot. So I think it's 16 star pickets, 3 ties per star picket. So that's taken me probably about an hour and a half to get done, which means I'm pretty much running out of time today. I still need to go and feed the cows, so I'm going to have to put that second roll up tomorrow when I get up here. So I'll get the cows fed and then head home. So why don't you come along and watch while we go and feed the cows, for those of you who need your Highland cow fix. Let's go. we're just slowly working our way through this bale of hay here. So it takes a bit. I just got to keep ripping it out. It's amazing how tightly it gets woven in. I don't want to take up the whole roll to them all at once. You know, if I was going to be away from the block for a couple of days, I could just give them the whole lot, but at the moment I'd rather just give them a little bit of fresh hay every day. So I just stuffed the bucket full, and it's interesting too, you know, these bales of hay, they sit out there in the weather for months and months. The outer layer gets a bit grey and ratty, but in underneath just stays beautiful, nice and fresh. I guess that's why over in places like the UK they do thatched roofs. It really is quite waterproof, the outside. Ginger? You want some food, Ginger? She does. She's saying, give it to me. There we go. Here comes the rest of the crew. Okay. There we go. Get a little something on your horn there. Hey? Here comes Big Hamish. I'm trying to push the girls out the way. Yeah, get out. Mine. And the littlies. Hey, what's up? There you go. Good girl, Raven. There's the little one over the back, the little steer. Here comes Rosie trotting down. Raven's calming down a bit. She's slowly getting better. Hey, there you go. Good girl. still a little unsure. He was feeding from me the other day. Come on. Hey. Come on. Here you go. Here you go. Come on. So he is still suckling from his mum a bit, but he's, as you can see, starting to get onto the solids as well, which is really good. He's just doing so well. Considering that I saw him get born on here in those first few days, I was just really worried, like, is he going to make it? But these cows are amazing. They don't need any input at all. Oh, sure, they need little bits and you've got to care for them and that sort of thing, but like, they are really easy to look after. They're in great health. And they're very cute. Big Hamish. Ginger. Little Rosie over the back there. You guys are noisy eaters, a bit like me. Alright, well, need to knock off, need to get home, so we'll leave it here for now. Well, getting the higher one was a little bit more of a challenge. See what I've had to do? I had to strap it all up so that I could lift it to get it to the height I needed for the second run. And that meant I was actually balancing between reversing and lifting the bucket to get the tension on and get it at the right height. So that's all looking good, the tension's quite good. And then as I came up here, I realized that this bottom section all of a sudden is really wonky, like it's got a lot of slack in it, because I realized I pulled just a little bit too hard. That post has actually moved. You can see how much it's come in by. It's actually pulled out a bit. So even as hard as I had that jammed in, it just goes to show you the power of the tractor too. So I'm gonna have to ease the tension off a little bit to get the post back, and then I'll start getting this all clipped on. Real balancing act. Okay, problem solved. So I just got this other log off of the gum tree pile over there. Dug a trench down in here with a nice flat back end, so it's nice and flat in here for the post to brace against. Up at this end, cut this post at an angle, cut a notch in there so that the point of this can get up in underneath nicely. So then I just dropped the back end in, came up to here, pushed this post forwards, got this to drop in to place, smacked a screw in just to hold it because it kept trying to pop out this way, and then came back down this way, grabbed the sledgehammer, belted it down harder into the ground, and it's taken most of the slack out of that bottom run. You can see there's only just a little bit of slack in this one right here. So anyway, by the time I get all this clipped together, it should be fine. And this is the tool I've been talking about. Very simple little tool, very handy. Basically, you load it the same as like a staple gun. You load it up. They are essentially staples. There's a few in there at the moment. I'll need to reload this in a minute. And so what you can do is you basically put this onto the wire and then squeeze, and it puts that little ring around the wire. Makes very short work of it. Literally just pop these two together, put it over, squeeze a ring onto it. So you can work your way along really fast, joining the two panels. Also, if you're running a top wire through, you can clip the top of the fence onto the top wire as well. But yeah, great little piece of kit this. Anyway, I'm going to finish running down through here, getting this all clipped together, then we'll work our way around the corner. Now that I'm around the corner of this post and running down on the long edge, not sure if you can tell, it looks very wavy. But what I've decided to do is, before I try and pull the tension up onto it, I've hung it on the top of all of the star pickets first. That's already taken a lot of the weight up. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the ring clamp. And I'm going to go along, I'm going to clamp all of this up on the bottom. And if I marry up the down runners, I should get this top piece at the exact same length as the bottom piece. So it should only require a little bit of tension at the end, and I shouldn't risk pulling the posts over. Now the reason that post pulled over and it didn't pull over yesterday was because yesterday I was pulling from ground level. So I was pulling from down here. As soon as you come up high and start to pull, a whole lot more leverage. That's why I pulled that post over with half of the effort of what I did yesterday. So one to remember. Anyway, I'm going to clamp all these rings up, and then that'll be it for me for the day. I've got a few things to do this afternoon back down at home. So we'll be back up here tomorrow when I'll finish putting the tension on this piece and finish off. Morning. Well, up on the block this morning, it is just after 10 o'clock. It was a cold one last night. In the shadows there, I think you can see that. Quite frosty. They had a really heavy frost up here last night, so first frost for the year. So yeah, even at 10 o'clock in the shadows, it's still very icy. But today's a special day, not so much for me, but for the doggos, because I've brought the dogs up today. So this is the first time that they've been up to the block. So we've got them in the back, and they all are. And I'm sure they're keen as mustard to get into the pen and have a run around and a bit of a sniff. So we'll get them in there and see how they go. Yeah, they've just sprinted off down the back here to have a look. All run around sniffing, marking their territory on everything, peeing on everything. So this netting over in the middle here is just because that's where the fire was, and I don't want the dogs getting into all that ash. It should only take a couple of weeks for the grass to grow back on that, and then I'll pull that out. Yeah, they're having fun exploring. Reckon they'll have a good time up here today. Hey! Stupid dogs peeing on each other. Looks like Hamish is going to need another bath. on it. Well, over the last few days we've had quite a lot of rain up here, right up in as far as Cradle Mountain, basically the whole northwest coast. They've even closed some roads because they're concerned about landslides and stuff. I'm having to yell because the river behind me, the Blythe, it's really flooded at the moment. Probably, I mean, I'm sure it's been higher, but compared to what I know it as, there's a lot of water coming down there at the moment. So I'm going to try and match this up to some previous footage as well, just so you can see the difference. But yeah, have a look at this. Now Dan, if you're watching, just in there, that's where I had our little barbecue. That log floating there, that's the one that we were sitting on, only it spun around sideways. I can see the water was up even higher, was right up into here. There's a bit of froth up through here. So over the last day or two, the water's been even higher again. Sorry about the glare. It's almost 11, but the sun is still very low. The waterfall on our side creek is looking pretty good today too. Got a nice flow of water over it. There's another little one just running down through there as well. This is the main one though. And the grotto, which I've showed you in earlier, that's just up the top there. Just above it, maybe only 50 metres, 100 metres tops above that waterfall. So yesterday I had some very good friends of mine, Jarrad and Jose, just got married last week. They were down in Tassie on their honeymoon and they popped in for the night, came and had a visit. So yeah, yesterday I took them for a walk down the track, down to the river. Let them have a look at that, where I take most of my guests to go and have a look. He brought his drone along that he'd only just bought as a wedding present to himself, I understand. And I was telling them about the underground river. There is a section, a part of our 2.7 kilometres of Blythe River that we've got frontage to. A part of that apparently goes underground. Well, more to the point, there's just so many large boulders you can't see the water anymore. The water just disappears. Anyway, so I was telling him about that and that I hadn't found it yet. He flew his drone downstream just a little bit further than I did last time, just around the bend. And wouldn't you know it, we found the point of where that water goes underground. And there was a lot of water flowing through there yesterday. It's still in flood a little bit. It was quite frightening how that much water just disappears into a whirlpool and below the rocks and gone. I've heard of people, they've lost their dogs and stuff down through this bush, and they reckon they've probably gone down and fallen in between those rocks, and if you've slipped into that, you're a goner. There's no coming back from that. It is quite frightening. But as you can see in the drone footage, now I know where it starts, and apparently it only runs for a couple of 100 meters and then it bubbles back out again and into other water holes further down. So over the next few days I might actually take a walk down there. I won't be getting too close, I assure you of that. And I'll just have a bit of an explore and see exactly how far it goes before it all comes out again. I'll bring you some footage of that in the next couple of episodes. Well, that's it for another episode. Next week I'll take you back down the river. We'll go and have a look at where that river goes underground with a bit clearer footage. I'll take my drone down there, and hopefully I'll get the cow paddock finished, the fencing for that done as well. So till then, have a great weekend. I'll see you next week.